Hello, and welcome to the Sports Stars podcast. This week, I will go over the opening of the Formula One 2024 season, cover any of the shenanigans that are going on, looking back and forward for the Six Nations, covering the weekend's sport with a couple of dubious decisions in the Premier League and La Liga, and then a little bit of a look forward to Anthony Joshua versus Ngannou on Friday night. Welcome back to the Sportscast podcast. This week it is a lonely one for myself, with James and Jordan both being unavailable. The first Formula One race of the 2024 season didn't really spring up many surprises, with Max Verstappen getting away early and just dominating from there. Really never really sort of came under any serious pressure throughout the race, with Perez finishing up in second, with George Russell in third, but George Russell in fifth, with Sainz in third and Leclerc fourth, with both Ferraris struggling quite early, with Russell starting third and then coming fifth. It was a case of if he could hold off the two Ferraris and Fernando Alonso, but Alonso dropped back. But McLaren starting the season pretty strong with a sixth place finish. I think we are going to be looking at a pretty similar season. I guess the main sort of talking points, to not really talk about Christian Horner, but Jos Verstappen, Max's dad, coming out with a few comments around the Red Bull future, what shouldn't be happening. And I guess, really, has he got a place to get involved? Has he not? He's a former Formula One driver, but I guess you could argue his opinion is going to be a little bit skewed, because he's only going to have Max's interest at heart, which, if you believe sort of social media and reports, Toto Wolff and Jos Verstappen have had a meal together, which probably is an unlikely pairing, but who knows? So this is Formula One, and anything seems to be able to happen. A quiet week on the rugby, with there being no Six Nations. There's been a pretty steady week around the URC, with Leinster overcoming Cardiff. There hasn't really sort of been too much. You've had Glasgow beating Benetton 19-9 away from home, and that's really it for the British clubs yesterday. Hopefully, with the Six Nations coming back this weekend coming, kicking off with Italy, Scotland, England, Ireland, and then on the Sunday, Wales versus France. Today was the Manchester derby, which Manchester United did take a lead in at half-time after an early Rashford strike, but then Man City coming good in the second half. Phil Foden scoring twice and Haaland scoring very late on, which, after missing arguably the easiest opportunity of the season, if not he's ever had, in the first half, I think he needed to score that to redeem himself. Other game today, Burnley versus Bournemouth, saw Bournemouth pick up a 1-0 win away from home. And then yesterday, no huge surprises. Probably the biggest, Brentford-Chelsea 2-2, but the way Chelsea are at the minute, that isn't really a surprise. Probably the main talking point for the weekend is Liverpool scoring in the 99th minute, controversially around Forest. Liverpool player going down the area, Canute going down with a head injury. Forest stopped play so they could receive treatment. he got up as the physios come on, so he didn't need to go off, which, if that's a head injury, as he claimed or said, to me, he needs to have that assessment. He was sort of punched in the face by his own keeper. The referee's come back, he's dropped the ball at the keeper's feet, and Liverpool just carried on, got up the other end 90 seconds later and scored. Forest did get slight possession of the ball twice in those periods, but nothing of any note that that changed anything. And then Liverpool scored. So a lot of people saying that Liverpool should have kicked the ball back to Forest. The referee should have probably done a little bit more about it. But again, the referee not really having the best of games in that game. From Spain, with referees having torrid times, Real Madrid away from home late on last night, 2-2 going into they were in added on time, seeking a winner. They've put a cross in, and as they've put the cross in, they were playing Valencia, so they've put a cross into Valencian box, and as that's happened, the referee's blown for full time. Jude Bellingham's headed the ball past the keeper, but the final whistle probably arguably had gone before Jude Bellingham's even connected with the ball. But Real Madrid are in a prominent position, a corner, bit of a tussle in the box. The ball's just come out of the area. It's not gone back to the halfway line or anything. It's down, it's still down by the byline. So, quite an attacking area. And then the referee's blown. It did see both Jude Bellingham and another Real Madrid player sent off after the whistle for their arguments for contesting the decision. But I think at any level, once the referee's blown his whistle, I don't think he's going to backtrack. And had he backtracked, the outrage then from the Valencian players would probably want him to change his decision there as well. So, yeah, I think it's been a little bit. It's hard for referees, but at the same time, when they're in the Celtic game, when there was a iffy handball and a 2-0 defeat, it was awful. The normal header that's gone up, and it's just his arms caught it off his head. Nothing major, but the referee seen it, and by the letter of the law, if it hits your hand, etc., and that's what he's refed it on. There's no common sense taken into that, where there's the athleticism in there. It's not black or white handball anymore. It just needs to get a clearer outcome, and not if it hits his arm, it's a handball. It's a little bit iffy. Coming up on Friday, Anthony Joshua fights Ngannou, 10-round heavyweight match, which is going to be around about 11 p.m. UK time. It's going to be huge. I think this is going to be the one that AJ needs to prove a point. He pushed Tyson Fury the distance, arguably beat Tyson Fury, but Anthony Joshua needs to revive his career if he wants those big fights. I think he may, if it goes the distance, Joshua wins because he'll be able to outbox him. But with his power and predominantly Joshua's weak jaw, if there's a knockout, I think it comes from Joshua. Comes from Ngannou against Joshua, and if it goes to points, I think it's Joshua that wins that fight. That's really the weekend. There's going to be slightly different formats moving forward around sort of the discussions, and less around results and everything else, and more sort of topical points. But next week, myself, Jordan and James will be back to carry on that conversation. Thanks for joining us this week on the Sportscast podcast. as normal, you'll get us on our social media, Instagram and X, formerly Twitter, at SportscastPod UK. Join us again next week.